artists, and animators. Chen is an animator and storyboard artist who has animated on a wide range of projects, including the Hazbin Hotel pilot, Helluva Boss, Lackadaisy, and Arlo the Alligator Boy. We invited Z onto our live stream to discuss her pilot for Ramshackle, currently in production, and all of the work that goes into an independent crowdfunded production. So, Z, welcome to the live stream.
Hello. Glad to be
Good
back.
to have you. So, let's start with a fun question. What is Ramshackle?
What is Ramshackle? What a question. So Ramshackle is a project that I've been developing since I was like literally a fetus. Like I
Literally.
think literally a fetus, 11 years old or 12 or something. I don't know, somewhere along those lines. But it's about the misadventures of three street rats, Skip, Stone, and Vinny, as they try to survive on the streets of their crime-ridden town. Um, and yeah, they go on lots of like goofy adventures and like they go pickpocketing, they go scamming people. They're anti-heroes, but they're lovable.
So you've been doodling and drawing and developing iterations of these characters since you were 11.
Mhm.
How have they developed over time?
Oh my god. I don't know if anyone knows this, but they used to be animals. Like I had a huge Neopets and Pokemon phase, and like I started drawing by just like tracing Neopets and Pokemon. And then I was like, I kind of want to make my own. So that's basically what Skip, Stone, and Vinny are. Like they were like sort of like Neopets ripoffs. And then I eventually gave them personalities, and then I got tired of them being like I got tired of drawing animals for some reason. I think like I really wanted them to have like cool hairstyles and human clothes and all that stuff. So eventually they turned human. But their personalities are still pretty much the same. They just look a little different. They evolved.
It's kind of cool to have that process where you discover who the characters are, right? Like, are you do you look like this, or what if I change that?
Yeah. Yeah, like the design and personalities too. Like they like the basis of their personalities are all still the same. But like as like since I made them when I was like so young, they kind of grew up with me. So I just kind of added stuff like experiences from my life into their lives and just made them like more rounded and like what the characters are today.
So we last interviewed you about your thesis film in 2020, and there's an article on our website which has details about the thesis film. I'm not going to ask you too many questions about the thesis film, but I did want to ask you, how have you grown as an artist and animator since that project? Like, how has your approach to animation changed, and maybe how have the characters changed?
Yeah. So basically there's so much stuff that's changed. Uh like I'll answer like how have you grown as an artist and animator first. But I think I've definitely become more appreciative of minimalist animation. Like so animation where, like the animation might not be like quote unquote like smooth or fluid, but they are really effective in just telling the story, like by holding on a frame with a really well thought out and drawn expression or pose. And like there's not like a whole lot of like frames in between, but like it's like really punchy and like powerful and like shows like Panty and Stalking really like I think like after I did my thesis film, I was like, damn, like why didn't I do my film like that? But yeah, like when I was doing my thesis film, I think I wanted to really show off my animation skills. So it's like, hey, I can do like really beautiful, smooth animation because at the time our thesis films were sort of like a business card. Like it was like we were trying to use them to get jobs after graduation. So I tried really hard with that. But now I'm like, oh, cool. Like minimalist animation is really fun too. Like I really appreciate that. So I think my animation style has evolved a little bit since then. And I also feel like I learned a lot about being a leader too. Because like, you know, you're directing a film and you kind of have to like learn people skills to sort of like have everyone work together in harmony. Uh, and yeah, like I feel like I've grown a lot since then. Um, yeah, what else can I say? Oh, the character designs have changed a little bit too, because I was getting like, when I first released the thesis film, I think everyone thought that the characters were like really, really young, like way younger than I thought they were, just because I drew eyes and like everything really round and big. Like the heads were really big too. So they got a little bit of a facelift so that, you know, they can appear a little bit older to the audience now. Um, but yeah, that's like pretty much what's changed about Ramshackle since the thesis film.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing to consider too for character design in animation. Like in animation, there is a tendency to exaggeration. I mean, it's
Hmm.
part of the reasons why you're doing a production in animation is you get to exaggerate.
Hmm.
Because I'm thinking of like classic Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon characters, where like in Fairly Odd Parents, right, Timmy Turner is
Hmm.
supposed to be like 11 or 12,
Yeah.
and he's about a quarter of the height of like an adult.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. So how old are the characters supposed to be in Ramshackle in the current iteration?
Like there's no set like age, but they're definitely supposed to be like older than like child age, if that makes sense. Like maybe somewhere in their late teens. Like I don't have set ages for them because um it's really funny actually because when I was a kid, I was like, oh, like I'll never reach age, I don't know, like 18 or whatever. I can keep these characters my age. So like every single year that I grew up with these characters, they would be my age. But then I kind of like outgrew them. So it's like I can't do that anymore. So I'm like, okay, I'll just give like a general age range. Like so yeah, late teens or something like that.
Yeah, I wanted to circle back to something you said earlier where you felt more comfortable exploring more minimal styles of animation.
Mhm.
Do you
Yes.
feel that that comes from a bit more like confidence in your shot composition and visual storytelling?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean, like I've always really liked like shows like Wander Over Yonder, where I think they really like they hold like poses like for like many seconds at a time with only just like very small things moving, but the way they choose like what to move and how they move it is just so like entertaining and like appealing, that I was like, I want to try that too. And I feel like I think one of my stronger points is actually posing and like expressions. So I think that really helps um with exploring that style of animation. It was just more so like, you know, when like people compliment animation, they're always like, "Oh, it's
It's
so
so
pretty
smooth.
'cause it's smooth." I was like, "Oh no!" Like people are gonna be like, "It's bad because it's not smooth." But now I'm like, dude, Penny and Stalking is gorgeous. Wander Over Yonder is gorgeous. Like I don't know what I was thinking, so you know, now I do what I want.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Pandy and Stalking, and I think of like if you're talking about held frames for a long time, the production I would think of would be like Neon Genesis Evangelion, where you will see like a frame held for like upwards of like 10, 12 seconds.
Mhm.
And it works. You know, you don't feel like, oh, I'm just looking at like a slideshow. It's like, okay, well, this
Yeah,
is, sort of the landscape that I'm looking at right now.
exactly. Yeah, it's like it doesn't like detract from the story at all. It's just like a different sort of style. Um, and like with anime especially, like the drawings are so gorgeous and detailed, like you want to hold on those frames too. Um, because like they're basically like moving illustrations. So I think it's all about intent. Like if like if you know what you're doing, it'll work. Like like if it helps with the storytelling, then it's fine. The audience won't really care.
Okay, so we're getting a lot of questions about the pilot. So let's talk about the animated pilot.
Yeah, sure.
Z, what is the size and scope of the project that you're currently working on?
Yeah, so originally it was supposed to be like a typical 11-minute pilot, sort of like, your typical Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon shows. But we went a little bit over. So it's about like 13 to 14 minutes. Um, but yeah, it's not gonna be like a long, like 30-minute pilot or anything. It's gonna be quite short, but I think Ramshackle kind of lends to that format better anyway, like a shorter, more punchy, like concise episode.
All right, I'm going to ask you some questions about some of the character designs.
Sure.
Gia Draws in the chat is asking, Stone appears to have the necklace thing in every version of his design. What actually is the necklace?
That's a really good question. I don't really know, to be honest. Like it was just so back when they were still animals, like I didn't want them to just be like blank, like naked. So each one of them had some sort of accessory. And for Stone, he was like a completely blue griffin, and there was just no like color contrast on him. So I was like, I need something shiny to put on him. So I put the necklace on him. And now everyone asks me, what is the necklace for? And I'm like, I don't know. I have to like think of something. But it was just decoration, honestly. Like like Stone had the necklace, Vinny had her bandana, and Skip had his scarf. So each one of them had a little accessory, and it's just there's no reason for it. It's just 12-year-old
Yogi
me.
Bear needs a collar, yeah.
Yep, yep, exactly.
No, I think that's interesting too, right? Like, people look for like really deep meaning in character designs, and sometimes the answer is, I thought it looked cool.
Honestly, like for real, like oh my God, people read into things so much these days. Like people create like someone's gonna make a video essay or something being like, what is Stone's necklace? And I'm like, bro, I don't know.
You throw another bone to the video essayists. Your local Goofy Goober, excellent name by the way, is asking. Um, I'm pretty sure the baby's name is Maggot. Who named them?
Oh my God, yeah. So like I was having so much trouble like trying to find a name for the baby because it had to be just like chaotic enough to be like a name that the trio would give it, but also kind of cute in a baby way. And then one of my friends was like, "Oh, why don't you call them Maggie, but like it's actually short for maggot?" And I'm like, "Wait, like maggot is actually perfect because the baby literally looks like a maggot too." And I'm like, "Oh my God, genius, absolutely genius."
Another question we're getting from Telmo is asking, starting animator here, how do you work with more complex designs for the characters, like the hair, for example? So maybe talking about what your approach was to the amount of like detail that you put into like different elements.
Sorry, is this for like character design or animation?
I think this is a character design question.
Okay. Oh, how do I deal with detail? I mean, I feel like with the thesis film, right? Like I've been drawing these characters for so long. It was kind of just like muscle memory. Um, but if you're making your own animations, I think it's good to like sort of know what your limits are, like what kind of level of detail you're willing to deal with because Like I'm really comfortable with these characters because I've drawn them for most of my life. But if you're just starting out, like you can sort of experiment with what like works, what doesn't, like with your style and stuff. I know I had like a really hard time with my characters because they didn't actually like rotate properly. Like they don't work in a 3D space. So I eventually learned to cheat like the details and stuff, like certain views, um, because it was just too like difficult to rotate them, I guess. Like I don't really know how to answer this question, but hopefully that helps a little bit.
No, I think that's kind of useful to hear someone talk through that process.
Hmm.
More specifically, like what does the production process on a sequence on the Ramshackle pilot look like? Like start to finish, what's your approach to working with your crew?
Oh yeah. Well, if you want me to start like all the way at the beginning, um, first is like the writing, and then um like with the storyboards and the writing, I actually write as I do the storyboards because I'm more of a visual storyteller. And it's really hard to write jokes in that are like more slapstick because it's visual. So I actually do that kind of at the same time. Like I write jokes and boards at the same time. Um, and then I actually do like a lot of the scratch voices, because sometimes like the delivery of a line is really important and I want to make sure like the voice actors kind of mimic that. So I'll do most of the pre-production stuff myself, and then once that's locked, like I'll get my voice actors to record stuff, and then I export each scene on its own as a board so that my animators can follow it like to a T, like so that we're using the correct amount of frames, the shot is the right length and stuff. And then yeah, I send it off to my animators to do rough animation, and then once that's done, I pass it off to cleanup. And then every time someone gives a version that they've done, I give lots and lots of notes. I'll write out notes and I'll do drawovers for both animation and cleanup. And once cleanup is done, we send it to compositing. And then we're at this stage now where we're going through every single shot in the animatic. Like I put in every finished shot as we go into like the final Premiere file, and I look to see if there's any hookup issues or color issues. Like, oh, Vinny's too pink in this scene for some reason. Let's dial that down. So right now we're at the process where we're just going through everything with like a fine tooth comb and tweaking everything. Like,
For members of our audience who haven't encountered the term before, what does hookup mean?
oh, hookup. Yeah, so it means like, for example, if you have like, let's say we have a wide shot of Stone standing in a field and he's facing left, for example. When you do another shot that's like directly related to that shot, like the next shot is like a close-up of Stone in that same field facing left. Like you don't want him to be facing right instead because it won't match up. Because he's still supposed to be in the same space, in the same like sphere, same time. So when you cut in, like he shouldn't be any different. Like if there's no like time gap, I guess, between two shots, then you have to hook up those two shots. Really bad like
If
explanation.
Stone's arms are up in one shot and then you sort of zoom in closer, his arms can't be down.
Yes, exactly. You put it so much simpler, but yeah.
Um, so you had taken your pilot project for Ramshackle to Kickstarter and Patreon, and I wanted to ask you, like, how would you describe the response to that project?
I mean, it's been pretty good. Uh, like I don't think it's gone like viral or anything, but I've been posting these characters online since I was 12, and I feel like the growth of the fans has been quite like, what's the word, like healthy. Like it's been, gradual, but a nice decent amount. Um, and like people seem to really be excited for it, which is nice because like the trailer got, I think, 400K something views, which is like way more than I actually expected. So yeah, like that was really nice. And like I honestly owe the success to the fans and my friends and family. Like they've been supporting me for so long, ever since I was drawing Neopets and Pokemon. Um, so yeah, now the response has been really nice, and um, a lot of people like really cool industry people too have been starting to notice it as well. And I'm like, oh my god, thank you. I didn't expect that, but nice, thanks, cool.
Yeah. So, if we're talking about like a pilot episode, right?
Mhm.
What was sort of your vision behind the pilot episode? What led you to take Ramshackle to Kickstarter and Patreon? And what is the purpose of the pilot?
Yeah, so well basically like I've had these characters for so long. Um they've literally just kept like becoming bigger. Like the things I've been doing with them have just been bigger and bigger projects. Like I have the web comic with them, and then I made my thesis film with them. And after the thesis film, I was like, oh man, like what can top a thesis film? A really long thesis film, aka a pilot. Um, so I think that's what led me to doing the pilot. And also, like, I feel like Ramshackle's always just been more of an audio visual project anyway. Like, I had the option of just continuing the webcomic, which I was really down to do, but I realized that I actually enjoy doing animation more than I like doing comics because I get to work with music. Like, I don't know if people know this, but a lot of my characters are actually based off of songs and stuff. And like, music is really, really important to me. So, getting to work with music and like song montages and like all that fun stuff like gets me really excited. So yeah, I just really wanted to do like a fully fledged pilot because like that with like music was one of the points that I had. And also I think people like watching pilots a bit more than reading comics. Like I don't know if that's true, but like I feel like animated stuff, like fully complete episodes draw people's attention more than like a webcomic on Webtoon because there's so many webcomics on Webtoon. So I'm like, I kind of want to do something different. And so yeah, I was like, screw it, let's do a pilot.
We're getting a few questions about the sort of scope and scale of the project. So one thing I wanted to ask you is, in an ideal world where people in the industry see the pilot and say, "Z, um, what is your vision for the series? How long would you want it to run for? What sort of stories do you have in mind for it?"
Mhm.
What would your answer be?
Ooh, that's a good one. I've always envisioned it as more of a like SpongeBob type show, like just very episodic, um, but with a bit more nuance, like Gravity Falls, where the characters feel a lot more grounded and they go through character arcs and changes and stuff. But at the root of it all, it is just like a fun comedy. So I don't see any huge overarching plots or anything. It would mostly just be like misadventures, but the characters learn stuff along the way and uncover more of the world of Ramshackle. So I can just see it being sort of like ongoing forever.
How would you describe the process of assembling and organizing a production crew? Because I
Mhm.
know that when you worked on your thesis film,
Mhm.
you had a few colorists who were working with you,
Mhm.
and I think there was like a composer, and then everything else was you.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so the colorists for my thesis film were actually just for Sheridan, we had like a meet and greet type thing for people who wanted to volunteer to color our projects from like the lower years. So that's how I got them. But for the composer, um, and for like all the cast and crew that I got for the pilot, it was just through Twitter. Like it was just through a, just make a post being like, "Hey, I'm looking for blah 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 blah," and you give them the details. Um, and yeah, like so I'd get a bunch of demo reels or um yeah, demo reels, and I would like just sit through the hundreds of them and mark down any of the ones that I like really liked, and um like I would message them back and stuff. And it was really weird being like on the other side of things because coming out of graduation, you're always working for someone else. And when you go to portfolio reviews and stuff, like you don't really know why people say the things they do. They're always like, "Oh, like make sure like the best stuff is put first." But when you're actually recruiting, you totally get it. Like it just clicks. You're like, ah, like there are hundreds of submissions. I have to go through them so fast. So if you don't like hook me in the first like 5 seconds, I do skip the demo reel. Um, and yeah, like finding animators and stuff was kind of hard because like people could have really good animation, but it wouldn't fit the style of like your show. So you have to pass on them, which is like something I learned. Um, but yeah. Oh, I also like really like giving people who haven't worked in the industry an opportunity too, because that's how I got started. Like that's how I got my foot in the door. I worked on someone else's indie project and I kind of wanted to pay it forward. So I'm like, hey man, like if you're new, come join our crew. um, but yeah, yeah, I love my crew. They're cool.
Yeah, I feel like someone could reverse engineer like really good advice for applicants based on
Mhm,
the like experience they had, which is if you're applying to work on a show, understand what the show is,
mhm.
and make sure that your portfolio is really tailored and your reel is tailored to the type of animation you want to do.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It makes it way
Um,
easier for the recruiter too.
so one thing I've noticed is that you've worked on a bunch of really cool indie animated productions.
Mhm,
Looking at like Hazbin Hotel pilots, Lackadaisy,
mhm.
and I noticed that there are a lot of artists, or there are a handful of artists who start on those productions and then create their own pilots. So I wanted to ask you, like, do you felt that your experience on working on those shows was helpful to like gain the experience to direct and run a production?
Absolutely, like 100%. I feel like I wouldn't have had the confidence to start my own pilot if I didn't already work on another indie like pilot. Because they're I wouldn't say they're structured that much more different than like a studio setting, but it working on someone else's indie pilot makes it feel like it's achievable for you as well because they're also just like normal people without like a shit ton of funding. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear here. You can censor that out.
Yeah, you can. That's fine.
Um, um, but yeah, it really inspires you to sort of see how different people run things, and then you sort of see what you like about working on that production, what you don't like, and then you're able to implement it into your own production. Um, so yeah, like if I don't know if anyone's interested in making their own indie animated pilot, like I highly recommend that you work on one too, just to see how it's run and how everything's done. You also meet like a lot of really cool people who end up working on your show too, because it's such a tight knit community, and you kind of just like pass each other around. I don't know, but yeah, yeah, like absolutely.
In your estimation, what has been the most interesting or challenging part of producing the pilot so far?
Um, Actually, it's the business aspect. Like, I didn't expect that running an indie pilot would literally be like running a business. Like, you have to keep in mind so many like businessy things like taxes and stuff. And you have to be very professional. Like make sure people are paid on time and they sign the proper contracts and all that stuff. Um, and so yeah, that was a pretty challenging hurdle, I guess, because we had a business class in school, but obviously no one really paid attention to it because it didn't really apply until, starting my own business pretty much. Um, so there was that learning curve. And then another learning curve was like learning how to be a leader, because you kind of want to be, firm, but also like nice. So like trying to sort of like balance those things is like hard. Like when, if you get like a bunch of if you get a shot that like you're kind of getting frustrated with, you kind of have to learn how to like solve that problem with your artist. Um and just sort of like walk them through it, because like they don't really know what you want unless you communicate it properly to them, right? So communication's like so important as well, like just learning sort of how to articulate what you want, um especially like since it's like you're trying to say words at them but they need to come up with a picture, so it's sort of like hard to like give visual notes without just like doing it yourself, so you have to like really describe it properly. um
It's definitely a skill.
it really is a skill. Like I thought that like people just had that in them, but no, it's like you have to learn it.
Yeah.
uh,
Because just because you can do something doesn't mean you can describe it necessarily. I'm thinking about like back in art class where they describe the different elements of drawing. You
mhm.
have like the sort of line style, you have contrast and color theory, and it turns out all of those terms are really useful when you're trying to work with a production.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Oh my gosh. um Sorry, just taking a sip of water. But yeah, I'm working with like my sound designer right now, and there are so many terms that I like did not know. So it like I'm trying to communicate with them and they're like, "Oh, you mean this?" I'm like, "Yeah, that." Like so like learning different lingo is pretty cool too. It really helps like facilitate stuff instead of being like using the most convoluted way to describe something. It's like, oh, we actually have a word for that. So learning that is pretty cool.
I've encountered a few people who have, by their own admission, started animation studios by accident. Um, what, and this is somewhat inspired by a question we got in the Twitch chat.
Uh-huh.
But what sort of things like do you have to manage on the business side? Because there's someone asking about like, hey, how do you deal with like communications and things like tax forms, grants, registrations of business? Uh, are all of those mandatory? Question mark.
Um, I've honestly just gone by asking other indie creators. So I just like do what they tell me and I learn like a bunch of stuff on my own as well. Like basically like you have to learn a lot of stuff on your own because again, like not a lot of people are in this field of independent filmmaking. So you just go and ask other independent filmmakers what they've done and like what kind of hurdles they've encountered on the business aspect, because like I said, I have no previous like business experience other than that one business class I took in college, and I honestly like didn't really listen to anyway. Um, so it's a lot more easy to like understand these things when you're actually going through it. And like if you don't know something, just ask people, because like I've the amount of accountants I've called to like ask about things is like it's a lot. And I've also like contacted a bunch of other like people like both in the industry like and also independent. Um so that's where I get most of my information. Like every production or like studio is a little different. So you kind of just like gather all this information and then you just see what fits your specific production, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like when these conversations come up and we get questions in the chat about like, hey, how do I like legally structure my animation studio, or how do I file my taxes? We should probably include a disclaimer of like, I am not a lawyer, I am not an
Yeah.
accountant.
Yeah, that's why I avoided like saying anything specific, because I'm like I can't tell you. I don't have that kind of knowledge. I would recommend doing your own research and asking an actual like professional. And most of them are really nice too. So, yeah.
So, with that disclaimer in mind, do you have any advice for artists who are interested in crowdfunding pilots of their own? Like, what from your experience would you tell to yourself when you were starting out?
Ooh, yeah. Who I'd say if you don't already have like a fan base built, you should build that fan base first. Like you should start small. Like I mentioned that Ramshackle was a comic, then a thesis film, and now it's a pilot. I think comics are a really good stepping stone to sort of building up that audience and getting enough people interested to want to fund your Kickstarter, because then they have that sort of context with your characters already. And even if you don't do like full on comics with like chapters and arcs and stuff, like you can do drawings of your characters to build up hype. And I think what works best is when you sort of like showcase how your characters behave um, in the drawings, if that makes sense. Like it's not just them standing there looking to the left. You want to put them in like situations to make people fall in love with your characters. So yeah, I recommend like building up that fan base first and then sort of like branching out after, because like jumping right into a crowdfund is extremely hard if you want to get it funded. Um, like you have to build up that trust and you have to build up like the love for your project. And I think like a lot of like independent pilot makers actually have all started with comics, now that I think about it. Um yeah, because then you already have like the basis with the characters and the story are like already laid out, and then all you have to do is like, transform that into like animated form. Um so it makes it a lot easier. Definitely recommend comics. And um oh yeah, like this is a completely other thing, but I actually don't recommend using Kickstarter for crowdfunding, because their management for like after you fund your project, the management for like um the how do you say, like managing like backers and stuff after your pilot
Right.
like funded, the system's not great. um so I recommend using BackerKit instead. Uh, so like I didn't know about BackerKit back in the day, so I didn't use it. But now that
But
I know, please use BackerKit.
considerations that you wouldn't think about until after you successfully funded a Kickstarter project.
Exactly. These are things like you have no idea about, and I'm just like, you know what? Like I've gone through it so that you guys don't have to. Um, Which is like the good thing about indie stuff too, is that like a lot of people are just willing to share their like mistakes and their successes. Like they're not like everyone I've talked to has not like been shy about, like sharing their experience, which really helped with my experience. And I hope this live stream also helps you guys, like if you guys are wanting to start an indie pilot as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the really cool things about independent animation and like just the animation community in general is people are really open to talking about their process and towards like mentorship and bringing people up. Because it'd be really easy to say, like, hey, this is my profession, and these are my secrets, and go away. But that's just not the attitude that artists have, by and
No,
large.
absolutely not. And I think it's because all of us artists just want each other to succeed because like especially in the indie sphere, it's like we're all kind of the underdogs. Like I guess I don't know, like we're just people with a passion. And I think everyone just wants to see everyone's passions like come into fruition in the form of like their own independent pilot. And like everyone I've talked to, like they're so nice and so supportive. Like the community is just, brimming with really, really supportive people. And yeah, like I feel like I wouldn't really have gotten this far without their support as well. Like I feel really like I don't know, I feel like I'm part of things and um I'm also like super willing to help others too. And it's kind of funny because like sometimes we'll go to each other being like, hey, like how did you like make your plushies or whatever? Like what did you use for this? I don't know what I'm doing. And they'll be like, I got you. It's either, oh, I got you, or I don't know, I'm in the same boat. So it doesn't make you feel like you're alone in this whole endeavor. Because yeah, again, like not a lot of people have made indie pilots. It's just like a handful. Um, so yeah, like I love the community. It's really nice.
Yeah, one of the things that you mentioned was your experience with webcomics, webtoons. Do you feel that that experience of having a audience and having a publication schedule, or at least some cadence of updates,
Mhm.
had an influence on like how you developed as an artist?
Um, I'd say so. Yeah, like because webcomics, you have to just pump them out, right? So you're kind of forced to learn everything. You're forced to learn backgrounds,
It's all you.
background expression, yeah, expressions like pacing, writing too, right? Like it's all you and it kind of just forces you to be a jack of all trades. Um, and so yeah, like I feel like it definitely did help me as an artist and it helped me grow the fan base as well, which is win-win.
We're getting a few questions about the structure of the production. So one thing I wanted to ask you is how many people are working on the production currently, and what are they doing?
What are they doing? Yeah, I think we have around like 50 people, but where it's kind of like wishy-washy. Like there's 50-ish people in the server, but like some of them are just people who've done like they're just my friends or something who've done like one shot and then like left. Um but like in total it's about 50 to 60 including like the voice cast and managers and stuff. In terms of artists, I'm not quite sure. Maybe like half of that is like cleanup artists, rough animators, compositors. If that's what they're wondering. But yeah, it's like a medium-sized crew. I'm not really sure like what the comparison would be, but I'd say it's like a decent amount of people.
We are, of course, getting comments from people who would want to work on a production like Ramshackle. So if someone wanted to work on Ramshackle, what would your advice be for them?
Ooh, very strong posing. Please have that in your portfolio. I'm assuming this is all like animator stuff, but yeah, please show me very, very strong acting, and um snappy animation would be a plus too. Like I actually prefer snappy animation over like really fluid stuff. Um oh, and one thing that I've actually rejected portfolios over is not having lip sync, cuz like this is a comedy and people are going to be talking like all the time. So if you don't have lip sync in your portfolio, it doesn't make sense for me to hire you. Um Oh, and also please have human characters, because I've gotten portfolios too where it's all just animals, and I'm like I have to know that you can draw humans too. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And then it helps if you have something like that is similar to the style of Ramshackle. So if you're just doing anime, for example, it's kind of hard for me to gauge if you're going to be able to draw the Ramshackle characters on model. So if you have something similar in your portfolio already, that'd be perfect.
So if you have like a portfolio filled with like quadruped characters who are doing sick flips, it might not be the correct like it might be really beautiful Sakuga, but might not be what you're looking for this particular production.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't mean that like it's bad animation at all. It's just it won't fit into Ramshackle. So yeah, just keep that in mind.
We're getting a question. Are there any YouTube videos, podcasts, books that you've like used as resources that you found particularly helpful when working on Ramshackle?
Ooh, that's a good question. Definitely like I like watching streams of other artists just working on their productions. Like I think Lackadaisy does sort of like work streams, um, where they just like chat and like work on their project, and they always like drop little tidbits of information about like their like making an animated pilot as well. So you can check them out. They're really cool. Like I'm always too shy to join their streams, but like speaking, but I will just lurk and listen. Um, Fable and Tracy are really awesome. Uh, any podcasts? I don't really listen to podcasts. Um, I think what also helps is like watching other uh like indie shows and sort of seeing what you like about them, what you don't like, and using that to craft like how you're going to do your own pilot. Um for me, I do that especially with like writing. I'm like, oh, I don't like how this was written, so I'm not gonna write something like that in my pilot. Um, so yeah, like those are my recommendations.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, like you mentioned, looking at like artists working on their productions because animation is a medium that can be very self-effacing, right? Like you can have this big production process and your audience only sees the tip of the iceberg. They only
Mhm,
see the finished piece where everything's polished, and you don't see like the rough animation. You don't see the
mhm,
storyboards.
mhm,
You don't see the compositing process that went in to create the final look.
mhm,
Um, and I think just being able to see the process like really highlights the amount of craft and thought that goes into a production and the value that artists really bring. I think it's really important
mhm,
to think about all those decisions that artists make.
mhm.
Because artists are not a machine that just like put in a prompt, spit out art. There is a lot of thought that goes into it.
Yeah, everything is so planned out. Like people don't know. Like it's not just you put your pen onto your tablet and it just like happens. Like there is so much thought that goes into every single aspect, from like the writing to the boards to the comp. Like everything takes so much like artistry, which is why the crew is so big on like you'll see like the credits list like so long for like every single cartoon. But yeah, I think like if someone's starting out on a like animated pilot adventure, you have to know that there's like so much work involved. And like I literally like this is my full-time job and I'm still dying. um so like keep that in mind. Like I guess it's also sort of like the way Ramshackle is run. It's like a lot of it is like I do a lot of the work too. I'm not just like directing, like so I'll be pretty hands-on with the animation and the cleanup. Well, actually, maybe not cleanup. I'm really bad at cleanup, actually. But like some of the compositing, like I did all the character designs. So like just prepare for a crap ton of work. Like even if you're not drawing too, like directing takes a lot of time because you're just sitting there trying to think of how to say your notes. And on top of that, you're also like running a business. So it's like, everything's happening. But yeah, all this to bring you 14 minutes of Ramshackle.
Which part of the process, like in terms of the like creative process, do you enjoy working on the most?
Ooh, I think I actually really like writing. Like if I get into the right groove and the right mindset, I love writing like stupid jokes or like little character moments. Like I'm not as good as at character moments, but like when it flows, it just feels so satisfying because like this is the first step in sort of bringing these characters to life because at the core of your episode is your characters and your story. Like it can look really gorgeous, but like if your story is like falling flat, it kind of like hinders everything. So that's one of my favorite steps. And I also really like just rough animation too because I like animating. I think that's like what I've like as a kid, this is what I set out to do. I was like, I want to be an animator. So I've always like really liked animating. I don't get to animate as much these days, but when I do, it's really nice.
What parts of like the animation pipeline did you learn more about on this production?
Oh, sorry. Definitely backgrounds and compositing because those are like my weak points. I never really did much of that in school. Um, I'd say mostly compositing. I'm like, I really don't know what's going on because I don't have like that much of a like tech brain, if that makes sense. So like I don't really composite the shots in Ramshackle, but like I do have to give notes. And like I do have to learn like the terminology that compositors use and stuff. And it's just really interesting how everything sort of works because oh my god, sorry, it's really drying.
It's all blending layers, right?
um yeah, blending layers and like we have like a bit of rim light and we're doing it all in Toon Boom. So
That's
I
cool.
yeah, like I've been working with Toon Boom like for my whole animation career and I just had no idea like what those nodes did until like the compositing team came on and I opened up one of the files. I'm like, oh cool, that's what that does. Like looking at their nodes and stuff. But yeah, I definitely learned a lot about compositing and yeah, backgrounds too is like really hard to direct for me because I don't like dabble in backgrounds. I'm like, this looks off, but I don't really know why. So I have to sort of like work really hard with the artist to like fix it and stuff. Um, but yeah. And honestly, like just like I said, like communicating your thoughts to sort of keep the animation pipeline like running smoothly. is really important. Like I didn't have to do any of that for my thesis film because it's all me, but yeah, communication and like yeah, that's all I have.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it requires a lot of soft skill and a lot of learning on the job to like show
Yeah.
run an independent pilot.
It is. Yeah, it really is. Like you don't really know what you're getting into until you do it. And like even then there's like I don't know, there's like so much stuff that um you learn through failing too. Um like sometimes it's like, "Oh, why do these colors look so different from shot to shot?" And it's like, "Oh, like you have to make, like a proper guide to tell people to like what colors to use and stuff like that." It's like, "Oh, like that's a step that I was missing." Or it's um like maybe people are missing like references for certain props and stuff and you're like, "Oh, I didn't even think about making a prop for that." Like you have to be it has to be really planned out and like well thought out, and you have to keep in mind that there's like so many people working on your project. Not everyone's like thinking the same way, so you have to guide them in the right direction, which is I guess what a director does. But yeah.
So Z, we are running out of time, but I wanted to ask, where can our audience go to watch the Ramshackle trailer and find more of your work?
Yeah, so the trailer and the pilot are gonna be on my YouTube at ZEZ, and I'm also on Twitter, or I guess X now, at ZEZ, and I guess like all of my social media is just ZEZ, but the pilot, like the big stuff, will be on my YouTube.
All right. Well, thank you, Z, for joining us to discuss Ramshackle and being very generous about the amount of detail you've given us about the crowdfunding and running this indie production. I'd also like to thank our audience for joining in with very insightful questions. Um, if you enjoyed today's discussion and are interested in using Harmony for your next production, artists can download Harmony Premium and try it free for 21 days on our website. The website is toonboom.com. On Thursday, February 22nd, we'll be interviewing storyboard artist Anna Lencioni about her independent web series Enceladus 5. If you are interested in creator-driven independent animation, you won't want to miss it, so be sure to tune in next time.